Have you ever thought about what really happens to the soul when someone is put under anesthesia? When your heart rate slows down, your mind goes blank, and everything you are, your thoughts, fears, and memories, seem to disappear. The world goes away for a second. The surgeon's voice gets quieter. There are machines humming softly in the background, like sounds from another world. And as your mind drifts away, something amazing starts to happen. Something that science can't yet measure and that few people are brave enough to talk about. Edgar Cayce once said that anesthesia doesn't put the soul to sleep. It frees it. That in those quiet, suspended moments between being aware and forgetting, the soul starts to let go of the body. It floats softly and quietly, still tied to a thread of light. But where does it go? What does it see? And who or what is in charge of it while it is in that delicate state between life and the unknown? Many people who have had near-death or out-of-body experiences have said something eerily similar. They felt like they were floating above their own body, watching the doctors work and not feeling any pain, just peace. Some say they saw a bright light. Others heard soft, familiar voices calling them home. Could the operating room be a door not only to healing, but also to revelation? That in the quiet of anesthesia, the barrier between worlds gets thinner, letting the soul remember where it came from for a short time. People have always tried to figure out the mysterious link between body and soul, or between consciousness and the parts of existence that we can't see. The question remains the same for both ancient healers and modern surgeons. What really gives life its energy? Is it the chemistry of the body or the spirit that lives in it? In spiritual philosophy, the soul is frequently regarded as the eternal traveler, utilizing the physical form as a transient vessel to engage with the material realm. Ancient Egyptian writings talked about the ka, which was a subtle double that could leave the body while a person was sleeping or in a trance. Hindu teachings talk about the prana, or life force, that flows through all living things. Tibetan mystics, on the other hand, wrote about consciousness as a bright awareness that can go beyond the limits of the body. Edgar Cayce's readings confirmed this age-old belief. He said that the body is like a finely tuned instrument, and the soul is like the musician. The instrument stops playing when anesthesia is given, but the musician does not go away. Instead, it watches, learns, and gets closer to its higher reality. Why does this matter now, when we have machines and medicine? Because modern science has reached the limits of what can be measured. We can use technology to map the brain, keep track of its activity, and even create a simulated state of consciousness. However, we still don't know where awareness goes when the body is subdued. More and more patients come out of surgery with memories that don't make sense, like remembering the exact words of the doctors, the tools they used, or the lights above them while their brain activity was registering nothing. These things are no longer just stories or magic. Neuroscientists and spiritual researchers are quietly studying them, and they are finding patterns that suggest something much more than biology. Could anesthesia be more than just a medical condition? Could it be a key to a secret door? These glimpses make us question our most basic beliefs about life, death, and what it means to be. In a world where we are taught to only believe what we can see, they do this. They remind us that the human experience may not be confined to physical form, but rather is an integral component of an expansive, unceasing consciousness that cannot be deactivated. And if that's true, then even when you're under anesthesia and can't talk, your soul is still awake, listening, learning, and waiting. Let's go deeper. To comprehend the phenomena occurring beyond the veil of anesthesia, we must initially traverse the fragile boundary where the corporeal intersects with the invisible. Imagine this. The surgical light shines brightly on a patient who is lying still, all of the muscles let go, every sound fading into a low hum. But even in that stillness, something old starts to move. The first spiritual layer shows itself as soon as consciousness starts to fade, not into darkness but into expansion. The soul lets go of its anchor as the physical senses fade away. Cayce said it was like a quiet lake at dawn, with mist rising from it. The soul, though invisible, feels itself moving outward, aware but light. The soul frequently views the physical realm from a novel perspective in this condition. Some people remember floating above their bodies and watching the machines work, and the surgeons work in silence. Some people say they hear a soft hum, a vibration that feels like the universe's heartbeat, steady, bright, and eternal. The first layer is calm and not scary. The soul doesn't freak out when the body sleeps. It knows how to leave and come back. It travels through a deeper corridor of awareness now, just like it does every night in dreams. The silver cord that connects it to the body is still there. It is the thin line that connects two worlds. It is fragile but unbreakable, and it shines like liquid light. Some spiritual texts say that this moment is like entering the borderland, which is a place where you can see but not live or die. The soul sees itself as energy, not flesh. It is bright, shining, and alive. Time seems to have stopped. The operating room changes from a clean space into a huge temple of light, where higher powers watch in silence. This is where souls often meet the presence of guidance. Some people see familiar spirits, which are loved ones who have died. Some people feel a bright being that can't be defined, and its energy calms all fears. These beings don't talk to each other. Instead, they send peace through vibration that goes right to the heart of the soul. Here, the soul starts to remember that it has never been locked up. The body is just a beautiful, temporary, and sacred piece of clothing. When anesthesia calms the mind, the garment rests, and the person wearing it becomes more aware. But what does this awareness show us? Is it possible that even in a hospital the soul has a holy chance to remember what it really is? The first spiritual layer tells you what every mystic has ever known. You are not your body. You are the silent witness who lives through every change, every breath, and every heartbeat. And when medicine causes silence, it does not signify the cessation of consciousness. Rather, it marks the inception of recollection, but this is only the surface. There is a deeper current beyond this calm observation, a place where the soul meets truths that it can't easily bring back. A place where memory, purpose, and destiny come together in ways that don't make sense to people. The first layer lets you in. But this is only the beginning of the journey. Let's go deeper. As the soul moves away from the body, a second layer of experience begins to form. This one is deeper than the first, which was just a quiet observation. The stillness gets deeper. The light gets softer. And then the soul realizes that it is not just floating above the body. It is entering a place that responds to thought itself. In this state, every feeling and memory starts to shine like ripples on an endless ocean. The soul feels the thin thread that connects all living things, as if every heartbeat on earth is a faint echo of a bigger cosmic rhythm. It is here, past the point of anesthesia, that consciousness starts to understand that it is a part of something big, an intelligence that lives in everything that exists. A lot of people who have gone into this hidden layer say it looks like an ocean of light, a place where thoughts become landscapes and feelings take shape. They feel like they are surrounded by glowing patterns, like sacred geometry made of starlight. Then they float through colors that no one has ever seen before. Gold, blue, and silver tones that seem to be alive and aware of their surroundings. It is in this area that the soul starts to find its own truth. Fear is not here. It is in the body. There is knowing instead. The knowledge that life, death, and every heartbeat in between are all part of one eternal breath. But something strange happens in this deeper layer. The soul may see what Cayce called the records of memory, the Akashic field, where every thought, action and feeling that has ever been felt is stored like a mark in time. For a short, sacred moment, the unconscious mind touches this field, and bits of forgotten lives may flash across its awareness. Maybe that's why some people wake up after surgery with strange feelings they can't explain, like déjà vu, sudden sadness, or even visions of places they've never been. The soul sometimes brings back faint echoes of what it has seen after wandering through the archive of eternity. So, could anesthesia be a subtle way to get into these deeper states of being? Is it possible that when the physical mind stops working, the soul goes back to its original frequency and reconnects with dimensions that science can't reach? There are tests for this second layer, though. Some people feel like they're being pulled between two tides. One is calling them back to the world of form, and the other is inviting them to dissolve into the infinite. The soul needs to remember why it came into this life, why it chose its body, its lessons, and its problems in this fragile balance. The unseen guides that are close by often send silent messages like, "Not yet. There is still more to learn." And so the soul stays. It is suspended between realities and sees its earthly vessel below, which is fragile and needs breath and pulse to survive. But it doesn't feel attached to it. It only feels compassion. In that bright stillness, it knows how valuable every moment of life is. Every pain, every joy, and every connection helps the soul grow. But what if the soul forgets the thread that ties it back when it wanders too far? What if the silver cord starts to break? Cayce said that too much anesthesia or trauma could make it harder for the spirit to fully reintegrate, which could cause what we might call soul disorientation. This doesn't happen very often, but it can be very deep. Some people wake up from surgery feeling not quite themselves, as if a part of them stayed behind in that world of light. Could this be why some patients say they feel emotionally different after surgery? Like they're more sensitive, more intuitive, or inexplicably disconnected from the material world? Maybe they touched a truth that changed them forever on their silent journey. The more we dig, the more mysterious it becomes. When you are under anesthesia, your body isn't just going to sleep. Your consciousness is also going to its true, limitless state. The mystic sees a soul's temporary return to the source, while science sees chemical reactions. And when that soul comes back, it goes back into its body, breathes through its lungs and flesh, and brings with it memories of that sacred time, a faint whisper of the eternal. This layer shows us that the line between life and spirit is not real. The soul is always alive, aware and exploring, even when it's very quiet. But there is another level beyond this one, a place where the soul no longer just watches or remembers, but feels the deep reason for being. A place of discovery. The next step on the journey changes everything. Let's go deeper. Now picture the soul moving even farther away from the body, past the soft hum of machines and the whispers of the living world. There is no sound or thought in this stillness, only being. Time doesn't move forward anymore. It unfolds all at once, like a memory and possibility that goes on forever. The soul is not welcomed by a place here. Instead, it is welcomed by an awareness, a living light that feels like home. It is warm, endless, and full of love that is so pure that it can't be put into words. People who have been in this realm during surgery often say it wasn't a dream, but a memory. They remember the moment they realized that they had never really been alone. A woman who was having open-heart surgery said she felt like she was floating above her body. She watched the surgeons work, and their movements were exact and in sync. But then she felt herself being pulled up into a light that pulsed with intelligence. She felt her dead father's presence in that light, not as a form, but as a deep sense of peace. He didn't say anything. He only sent out a message that went beyond words. You are loved. You are eternal. A few moments later, she was back in her body, gasping for breath as her heart started beating again. But something inside her had changed for good. After a long and dangerous operation, another man said he found himself standing in a huge field of gold. He could feel the sun on his skin, even though he didn't have a body. He said he knew this place was outside of time, without anyone having to tell him. He whispered, "It was the most real thing I've ever been through. Everything else, this life, my pain, even the surgery, felt like shadows by comparison." These stories are like pieces of the same old song that people from different cultures and decades remember. They talk about a moment of revelation, when the soul realizes that life and death are not opposites, but two sides of the same coin. In this layer, the soul's awareness goes beyond its own identity. It starts to see the tapestry of life, where love weaves together all the souls. The body, once so important, now looks like a temporary costume, a vessel chosen for learning, growth, and the sacred experience of limitation. And then the emotional change happens. The soul seems to be being asked a question, not in words, but in energy. Are you ready to come back? For some, the answer is to fight back. They want to stay in that light, where they don't feel pain, fear, or the weight of being human. But for some, an image starts to form. Faces of loved ones, dreams that are still not finished, and promises made before birth. They feel drawn back by their purpose. This is where divine mercy steps in, you could say. The soul is reminded that every moment of struggle on earth has a purpose, and that the only way to learn compassion, forgiveness, and love is to live. Going back to the body is not a fall from grace. It is a brave thing to do. People who wake up from surgery with tears streaming down their cheeks and can't explain why are remembering this moment. The bittersweet pain of coming back from nothingness to form. The body is heavy and the air is thick, but the heart holds the memory of forever. Edgar Cayce once said that these times of separation and return give the soul a chance to reset its awareness and see higher realms so it can bring wisdom back into life. He said that when a person is under anesthesia, their soul sometimes meets their higher self, which is the divine spark that guides each life. For a brief moment, the illusion of separation goes away, and the person remembers that they are also divine. This is why many people come out of surgery not only healed physically, but also spiritually. They start to ask questions, look for answers, and love more deeply. Some people stop being afraid of death completely. Some people feel like they should live more authentically because they believe that their time on earth is not random, but chosen. But what does this new information really mean for us? It means that consciousness cannot be killed, that even when the brain is quiet, the soul still sees, feels, and loves. It means that death is not the end, but a change into a different kind of awareness. But there is still one last layer to find, a place where all of these feelings, light, peace, and memory, come together to make something even deeper. The place where the soul gets not just comfort, but also wisdom. The warning, the message, the new understanding that changes everything. Let's go deeper. The space where understanding becomes wisdom is the quietest place of all, beyond the brilliance of revelation. In this last layer, the soul stops trying to see or feel, and instead tries to remember. What it remembers is both humbling and deep. When the soul is between worlds, neither in the body nor fully out of it, it sees a truth that few people can bring back whole. The lesson is simple but never-ending. Life is sacred because it is temporary, and consciousness is eternal because it is love itself. The body, despite its weaknesses, is not a prison, but a teacher. It gives the soul the rarest gift, the chance to grow through choice, pain, and compassion. Edgar Cayce suggested that anesthesia was not merely a medical condition, but a symbolic act of surrender. In that stillness of the mind, the soul is reminded of its divine origin and how easily people forget it. We often act as if our bodies are what make us who we are. But the soul sees things differently. It knows that it is still there even when the brain is asleep. In this layer, a lot of people say they saw a vision, not of people or places, but of balance. They see how every kind act, every flash of anger, every moment of fear or forgiveness spreads out into the future. There is no waste. Even pain is part of the divine pattern, which teaches the soul to be humble and empathize with others. But there is also a warning here, a whisper that travels through the bright currents of consciousness. Don't live as if you are only flesh. People who forget that the soul is eternal start to sleep even when they are awake. They stop being amazed by the miracle of being alive. Cayce said that this spiritual sleep, which he called the anesthesia of the soul, could be more dangerous than any surgery. The spirit drifts too far from its source when the heart closes, so the higher insight is both a comfort and a warning. Comfort because the soul doesn't die, it just changes. Be careful, because forgetting this truth can make life seem empty and scary. The soul that has been through anesthesia knows this well. To awaken spiritually is to remember that we are not sick people waiting to be healed. We are consciousness learning to create, love, and return. People who have been close to death or unconsciousness often come back changed, not because they saw heaven or light, but because they understood why they are here. They know that every breath is a bridge between two worlds, and that the space between them, the silence, the pause, and the stillness, is where God speaks. So maybe the real point of these moments isn't just to stay alive. Maybe body surgery is like soul surgery, a chance to let go of things that don't help. Let go of old fears and wake up from the anesthesia of forgetfulness, because when we wake up again, opening our eyes in the sterile light of the operating room, something inside us has changed. The memory may fade, but the vibration stays, the quiet awareness that we are more than this body, this life, and everything we thought we were. And that is the most important thing to know, that consciousness is not limited to the body, and love is not limited to the breath. The soul can handle anything, even when it's quiet, even sleep, death too. But what do we do with what we know? How do we live after we see the truth? The answer is how deeply we choose to wake up. Let's go deeper and think about it. In the quiet after our exploration, a question hangs in the air. What really happens when the body sleeps, but the soul stays awake? When the mind is quiet and the world fades away during surgery, maybe the spirit goes on a journey that our bodies were never meant to remember. Maybe the anesthesia that numbs the body also opens a door. A point where the lines between what can be seen and what can't be seen get blurry, even if it's only for a moment. Some souls come back with a strange sense of calm, a feeling they can't put into words, as if they had touched a place outside of time. Some people wake up with a sudden change in their awareness, an unshakable feeling that something holy happened while they were gone. Is it possible that these brief moments of being unconscious are not absence, but presence in a different dimension of being? A short trip back to where we came from, to the quiet womb of creation itself. What message does that experience leave behind, if so? It might remind us that the mind is not stuck in the body. The soul doesn't need eyes to see or air to live. Even when it is still, it moves, it learns, it keeps track. So the next time you hear the steady beat of a heart monitor or feel the pull of sleep before surgery, think about this. Maybe you're not drifting away, but going home for a short, sacred meeting with your true self. And when you wake up, maybe some of that memory stays with you, quiet, wordless, but deep. A voice that says, you are more than this body. You are more than this life. Take a moment to breathe and think about what this means for you. What if consciousness doesn't really end, but just changes where it is? The answer might not be what you think. There's more to find. Subscribe if you want to keep going on this journey.